So I want to take a minute this evening. I want to thank everybody who has come over to my Patreon channel, where I have a little bit more freedom on that platform to talk about things that I can't talk about on other platforms, things that are a little bit more political, a little bit more social. So I want to thank everybody who's come over. Please be patient with me. I'm going to try to get more videos over there. My goal is to get 2, maybe 3 videos a week over on that platform to discuss some things that we can't discuss on other platforms. So again, thank you for coming over and checking out my Patreon. If you haven't, it's like $3. Come on over and be a part of that. Thank you. It's Tuesday, June 9th, 2020. So we had a small pullback in the market today. Dow Jones, negative 300 points. But this is where we're at right now. NASDAQ is at an all-time high. Dow Jones less than 7% off of its record as Wall Street looks for Fed to keep support intact. This is what $6 trillion gets you. You know, these people who keep telling me that the economy is strong, that the stock market is strong, this is all because it's being propped up artificially with $6 trillion of money printing by the Federal Reserve. You know, I read a very good article today on the hedge with John Williams of shadowstats.com. He was on Greg Hunter the other night. And, you know, he's telling us that we're going to see second quarter GDP negative 50%. He says the system is bankrupt and they're just spending the money to prevent an immediate collapse as opposed to having that collapse right now. You know, just kicking the can down the road a little bit farther. Nobody wants this whole thing to collapse in their lap, so they're just spending more money, kicking the can farther down the road. With infinite money, you can do all sorts of things, but guess what? You also get hyperinflation. Look, we are pulling a page right out of Zimbabwe right now. We are going to see horrific damage from all this money printing. They've crossed the line. That's why you want to own physical gold, says John Williams. Without all the gimmicks, we have about 40 million people unemployed here in the United States of America, which is about 40% unemployment, not the 13% that the government claims. You know, it's amazing how people are so easily fooled. You know, they've been cooking the books with this economy for so long with these employment numbers. We're looking at 40% unemployment. That puts us really now in a depression, not a recession as now they're admitting we're in, but we're looking at a depression. And how anybody thinks this is going to be a V-shaped recovery with 40 million people out of work, I don't know what they're drinking. The hedge today, as stocks soar, data shows the real economy is mirrored in historic crash. The real economy is literally, ladies and gentlemen, collapsing all around us. But thanks to the Fed intervention, stock investors are doing just fine. So stock prices skyrocket as the U.S. economy has plunged into a recession. Don't you find this absolutely bizarre? Take a good look at what is happening to the United States of America. Look at this real economy. Look at my video that I filmed yesterday in downtown Los Angeles. It looks like it's out of a horror film. It's absolutely insane. The National Bureau of Economic Research said Monday, it's official, we are in a recession. And they're always behind, because I think now we are no doubt in a depression that is going to get much worse. You know, anyone who can add 1 + 1 or has half a brain can see the economy is falling apart. Again, look at my last video in Los Angeles. It looks like it's out of a sci-fi movie. It's insane. Factory orders collapsed 22.3% year over year. Heavy truck orders, Class 8 truck orders, down 37% last month compared to last year, 2019. Corporate bankruptcies have shot up 48% last month compared to the same period a year ago. 40 million Americans have now lost their job. 1/3 of Americans are now showing signs of clinical anxiety and depression. We are seeing massive violence all across America, but 1% live in that Fed fantasy land. It's the 1% who are laughing all the way to the bank. You know, when I was in Los Angeles on Sunday, it always amazes me with what I see out there, the amount of poverty. You know, you'll see Beverly Hills, you'll see Santa Monica, you'll see Bel Air, but you never see the rest of the city. Potholes, graffiti, homelessness, tents everywhere, violence, rats running wild, garbage. It's an absolute atrocity what has happened to the city of Los Angeles, and the politicians in Los Angeles should be embarrassed with what is taking place. Take a look at the real America. Take a look at the real economy. Take a drive into your urban cities and look for yourself at what's going on. You're going to see the tents. You're going to see the homeless epidemic. You'll see the graffiti, the gangs, the rats, the garbage, the dilapidated roads. It's happening everywhere, not just Los Angeles. It's an embarrassment. And I think a lot of people, if they actually got off the couch and took a drive, they would be probably in shock, if not scared, of what they were seeing. CNBC today, auto loan payments soar to yet another record first quarter. You know, I'm driving a very old Toyota Camry. I carry liability insurance, that's it. And I'm gonna run it till the wheels fall off. New vehicle buyers in the first quarter of 2020 agreed to an average monthly loan payment on a new car of $569. The average amount borrowed hit a record high of $33,735. Used vehicle loans also climbed to record highs. Average monthly payment, $397. The average loan on a used vehicle was $20,723. Look, I'm not out to impress anybody. I don't put up fancy pictures of driving an exotic sports car or a luxury sedan on social media, Facebook. I have nobody to impress. I'm driving a 1997 Toyota Camry, and I could care less how many people judge me, laugh at me. It's paid for. The liability insurance is extremely cheap. What I'm doing right now is I'm stockpiling as much gold, silver, and cash as I can. And I really have no ambition right now of buying a car or a piece of real estate or anything. Right now, my game plan, and I don't give financial advice, my game plan is to stack as much gold, silver, and cash as I can before this whole house of cards comes tumbling down. The sales are coming. The biggest wealth transfer in the history of the world is about to take place. So if you want to go out and get a $600 a month car payment and tie yourself down to 8 years of payments, hey, God bless you, do it what you want to do. Me personally, I could care less about a new car or even what kind of car I drive right now. What I do care about is setting myself up for prosperity, setting myself up to capitalize as much as I can on this collapse, because I see a massive sale coming in real estate, in RVs, in boats, in vehicles, on land, you name it. The sales are coming. Everything is going to be on sale because everything right now is overvalued and overpriced. So set yourself up to win. Don't worry about what you're driving right now. Be stockpiling cash and metals. Get your debts paid off. If you don't have a $600 a month car payment or a $397 car payment a month right now, you could be stacking that money, stacking that cash. You could be buying some gold, buying some silver, getting your debts paid off and setting yourself up to win. Sizing the commercial real estate bust. Also on the Hedge today, how big is the bust going to be? Bigger than the residential mortgage bust of the 2000s, also bigger than the commercial real estate wipeout of the 1990s. We will see historic charge-offs with loss rates at 100% or more in some cases, the biggest bust is coming. It's a good article on The Hedge today. Check it out if you get a chance, and make sure that you are critically thinking for yourself. You are protecting yourself. You know, when I see what's happening on the streets of America right now, when I see the melt up in this stock market, when I see the trillions of dollars being injected into these markets, the repo market, the stock market, the corporate bailouts, this is so scary. This is going to end horrifically for most Americans. Bloomberg today, as many as 25,000 US stores may close in 2020, mostly in malls. You know, this should be another indicator of where all this is going. They're not talking about a record number of store openings, a record number of new malls. It's record numbers of closings. The number would shatter the record set in 2019 when more than 9,800 stores closed their doors for good. We're going to blow that number away. So ask yourself, what are all these people who work at these stores, what are they going to do for a living? What are all these executives going to do? What are all the salespeople going to do? What are the people that clean the stores, the people who maintain the stores, the truck drivers who deliver to the stores? What happens to all this vacant real estate? Who makes up for the huge tax losses when these stores close? It's going to be a lot of more unemployed people, more jobless people in America as these stores close. This is not a sign of things improving. This is a sign of things deteriorating economically. And yet people just turn on the TV and see the stock market, you know, nearing all-time highs, and they get excited. And most of these people aren't even in the stock market, but they believe everything is okay. And again, it's these people who are picking up a stimulus check, an unemployment check, believing everything's going to be okay, believing that they're going to have a job to return to. Millions of people are not going to have a job to return to. There is no V-shaped recovery coming. This is the calm before the storm. This is a massive melt up, and you better be preparing. Look, I don't care if you prepare or you don't prepare. That's up to you. This video is just me sharing with you, thinking out loud, telling you what I see, what I'm doing in preparation, and my concerns. Many of you may think that there's nothing to be concerned about, and that's fine. And we're going to see how it all plays out. But no matter what happens, I'll be okay because I'm prepared with food, water, security, assets, cash. So if things don't fall apart, my life doesn't change. But if I'm right and you're wrong and you don't have these preparations, you're going to be in very, very big trouble. You wouldn't drive your car down the road without car insurance. Why would you be living in this environment and not protecting your wealth? You need to insure your wealth. Rail stocks back to all-time highs as rail traffic collapses. You know, we've got 465,000 rail cars sitting in storage. That's how good the economy is. Total U.S. carload traffic for the first 5 months of 2020 was down 14.7% from the same period last year. Coal carloads are down 21.6% so far this year. Motor vehicles and parts down. Shipment in these rail cars down 75%. Crushed stone, sand, and gravel down 19.4%. So I keep hearing how great the economy is doing. I keep hearing about the V-shaped recovery. The only V-shaped recovery is the one on Wall Street that doesn't affect you or I. And this economy seems to continue to be getting worse, and it's going to get much worse. And when people figure this out, they're going to be too late as they figure out that they were unprepared for a collapsing economy. Even though it was collapsing right before their very eyes, they weren't preparing. While it was collapsing, they still weren't preparing. These people are going to be in for a nightmare. Millions of people in America are going to pay a massive price for being naive, for being oblivious, for ignoring the warning signs. Too many people took too much time to criticize me, make fun of you, criticize you, instead of preparing. What's the worst thing that could happen with being a prepared individual, with insuring your assets or insuring your wealth? What would be the worst thing that could happen? Nothing. But what's the worst thing that could happen if you're unprepared for this economic collapse? You're going to get wiped out. Your family will get wiped out. And we're not even talking about what's going to happen socially. What could happen to you and your family because you were oblivious. You wanted to deny the truth. You denied reality. Look, people can criticize me, judge me, make fun of me, all that they want. But I'm going to continue to do what I'm doing. I'm going to continue to drive an old car. I'm going to continue to put cash away, to put hard assets away, food and water away. I'm going to continue to work on my security skills. I'm going to continue to be awake. And if nothing happens, great. I pray to God it doesn't, because this is going to be a very ugly time in the history of America when it does happen. But if nothing happens, I have more food, more water, more assets, more cash, and an old car. Okay, so my life's not going to change. But when things do happen, I'm going to be prepared. I'm going to have a life raft. I'm going to have insurance. I'm going to have a plan. And I think for these people out there that believe it's smart not to have a plan, believe it's smart to continue gambling in a fraudulent Ponzi scheme stock market, it's smart not to have food and water put away. I mean, heaven forbid we just have an earthquake out here or a natural disaster. I don't understand why people are so fearful of preparation, why preparation scares them and it intimidates them that they have to lash out. It just triggers people that somebody's prepared. Again, these are the unprepared. These are the scared people. These are the people who are dependent on the system not breaking down. And when this system does break down, these are going to be the first casualties of this economy. Bloomberg today, more food shortages loom with outbreaks at 60 U.S. plants. So what about food? What happens if food becomes scarce? What happens when hyperinflation sets in and you can't afford to buy it? What happens when the government checks stop? What happens when you don't have a job? The currency's gone, it collapses, hyperinflation. What are you going to do? What happens if the electricity gets shut off? What if we have an EMP? What if we have an earthquake? What if? There's a lot of things that can happen. What are you going to do? You know, going back to Sunday when I was in Los Angeles, it is horrifying to see the living conditions, horrifying to see how some people have to live day to day, horrifying to see how our politicians have left behind people with addictions, mental disorders, people who have come up on bad luck, people who have had years of abuse in their lives and now are on the streets. We have turned our back on these people. We care more about the stock market. We care more about people in other countries than we do about our own vets who are living on the streets. Frightening. But when I see how these people are living, when I see the conditions of these areas in Los Angeles, I just think, what if the lights went out? What if the power went out? What's the average American going to do for food? They've got a refrigerator and freezer full of food. What happens in 24 hours when all that food begins to spoil? We are so unprepared as a nation, so soft, so naive. I'm very concerned about America. I'm very concerned about everybody watching this video. And when I see the amount of people who have such a disdain for America, you add this social disturbance on top of this economy that is going down the toilet as I speak. It's not getting better. You can indulge in the television all you want, but let me tell you, I try to get out as much as I can. The for sale signs, the for lease signs. I've been to a couple restaurants in the last week. They're dead. They're dead. And look, they might be real busy where you're at, but I'm going to tell you, when I was in Los Angeles, things were real quiet, except for everybody running around on the streets, except for the tent cities, except for the wandering homeless people. The businesses looked real quiet. The restaurants looked real quiet. If you don't have food when this whole thing breaks loose, you're going to be in big trouble. And when I see the amount of people wandering in the second biggest city in America, Los Angeles, California, with no food, no shoes, no place to live, and then I see the hostility brewing in America, and I see the opportunity inequality, the wealth inequality. I see this economy deteriorating. I see big trouble, ladies and gentlemen, big trouble. You cannot be one-dimensional here and go, oh, I have plenty of food. I can live 5 years without food, but you have no security. You have no hard assets. You have no cash put away. You have no emergency plan. Now you must be well-rounded. You better have food. You better have water. You better have security. You better know how to use it. You better have assets. If food goes, you're in trouble. If the dollar collapses, you're in trouble. If the law goes, there's no rule of law, there's no police. We're talking about just disbanding police now. So you may be in a city with no police. Los Angeles is going to cut their police budget by $150 billion. So if you think it's bad now and you're dependent on the police and the government to save you, don't be. You better be dependent on yourself. So you better have that food. You better have that water. You better have security. You better have hard, tangible assets like gold and silver, because you can't trust your bank. What if you can't access your money? What are you going to do? The money becomes worthless. What are you going to do? You better be your own central bank. You better have cash. You better have assets. Because if the cash goes, then you're going to be reliant on the gold, the silver. The grocery stores close down. If there's food shortages with plants closing, right here on Bloomberg, you better have your own food. This is no joke. This is the time that you better be refining your skills, refining your preparations, your training. You better get in survival mode, mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially, because this thing is here. This collapse is happening right before your very eyes. And I know that 98% of you see it and understand it, have been preparing for it and continue to prepare for it. But there are still many people watching this video who are naive, who are hoping that it goes away, trying to believe that this can't really be happening because this is America. I think America is going to pay a huge price here, because we've lived in this entitlement era for so long, believing that we're untouchable, believing that we should just get things for free, spend money we don't have, print money out of thin air, continue to kick the can down the road with no repercussions. Karma's coming. And karma, I believe, is going to have no mercy on America.